Welcome to Mindset Monday 42. Ultimate Pill. Coming hot and heavy off episode 46. Where we talked about how having self-worth can develop hope for life. Pretty powerful stuff, man. Let this Kruma beat rip a little bit. Shout out to anyone out there creating works of art in whatever fashion that may be. Shout out to you. Wherever you are, trying to create good things. Shout out to you. Looking at responsibility as an opportunity to create. Shout out to you. Understanding that flaw in character and having the humility to explore and understand it. Shout out to you. Taking ownership for some of the resistances in life. Shout out to you. Showing up for the day-to-day with a big imagination, talking to yourself in a healthy way through the stresses and challenges of life. Shout out to you, because this is Mindset Monday 42 is a shout out to you. All the ones out there quietly doing your thing, focused on the creative pursuit and the process, effort over results. Learning over knowing. Applying and not dying, because when we let some of those things out about ourselves not reign free and not be true and not expressed in a very positive way, like we die a little bit inside. And what's exciting, man, is in the death is always a rebirth. And that's what we're going to talk about today, man. Let's go rebirth style and explore the idea of maybe it's in our darkest times where we find true treasure. That's when we develop that fortitude to pull the sword from the rock. I feel like I'm channeling my brother Anthony tonight with he's influenced me. He's conditioned me with this film talk for 88 episodes. Shout out to the Ultimate Pill. We're coming up on a year. 100th episode is going to be exciting, man. That's just very cool. Cool vision to imagine as I go through the day-to-day. And that's a big idea that came from episode 46, where we talked about hope and how that correlates to self-worth. But we really landed and talked a lot about like creativity and pursuing a passion or a life project or something of like, there's even in logotherapy, yes, that would have been logotherapy. There's 3 different forms of meaning. There's creative meaning, which is you're creating a work of art. There's relational meaning, where it becomes all about the interpersonal relationships that you have. And then there's an actual struggle meaning, which means that you find meaning in bearing your burden with honor and like really facing the struggles of life in a very meaningful way. So those are kind of really cool things to think about when you're talking about creativity. Like, essentially, creativity has a lot to do with taking something that you find meaningful and capturing a snapshot of it and giving it a place and time to where people can still look upon later and find really a deep sense of joy. I think it is what comes from when you see a beautiful work of art, or you see someone like you see those gymnasts do those like really crazy flips on, like that does something to us. Like we all stand up and cheer for a reason. And it's like we captured human excellence. And I think that's what creativity is like capturing that excellence that is you. Because we said in episode 46 that if one thing that you can start with initially is just believing that you're here for a reason, and the pursuit of identifying, exploring, and understanding that reason is such a meaningful work of art. And that's where that idea of self-worth comes into play. And understanding that that relationship with self is heavily focused on a lot of things that we need to go address that we don't like doing. And if we're going to talk about self-worth and creativity, well, let's talk about creating a positive relationship with ourselves tonight on Mindset Monday 42 in the next 5 minutes. Because it's in that relationship that you're able to find that thing that brings you to life and makes you feel like you're living true to what you are. Because if we don't know who we are, then how do we know what we're living true to? So it starts with our relationship with ourself and self-knowledge and everything that the show stands for, improving the quality of the life experience through self-knowledge. And at one point in episode 46, Anthony started talking about a fear that he had, and it was a fear of failure. And then he delved into a little bit more about a fear of acceptance that I shared, and he shared a moment to where he would feel as though he was alone on his dream path, which is filmmaking. And what he was able to do, because he did the creative work that is essentially mental alchemy. You start restructuring the way you believe, which influences how we feel and think. So he began to shift that by going down into, and he thought it was fear, but what we landed on the show was it was potentially guilt. And stay with me on Mindset Monday 42 right now, because think about the creativity and imagination and vision that has to happen to restructure what we'll call, for specific reasons, just to keep things within the lines of what we're talking, the unconscious and conscious mind. Like a lot of that stuff that we need to delve into in the unconscious mind that is processing below our level of awareness. And if there's negative beliefs or assumptions or expectations tied into that, it's influencing our conscious mind and our thinking. And not only our thinking, but our awareness of our thinking and our feeling. And on Mindset Monday 42, I want to talk about the creative process of going into some of those negative emotions that we don't like going to because they come from past trauma or experiences that we instead repress down. But because of that, we develop defense mechanisms. And from those defense mechanisms, we develop a character structure, which then becomes our relationship with ourself, which is the structure of self we talked about in episode 45. But think about your relationship with yourself is at the top of those. That is what we would call your self-concept. So talking about developing self-worth, write down some of those things that you say to yourself that don't make you feel good after. Start there. Literally take out a piece of paper. And if you are struggling with self-worth, and true self-worth, by the way, not a false sense of self, but like literal inner work, creativity, imagination, vision utilized to really figure out what you really are. And then as you write those down, a very simple activity. Shift the wording in a manner that is productive for you. And I went slow there because I wanted to make sure that my words were correct. But just to reiterate, Mindset Monday 42, practical skill that I just put together right now, talking about the content of Mindset Monday 42 was, if you're struggling with self-worth, that initial step is identifying the source of what's interfering with the relationship with yourself and what could potentially have you in what we talked about a little bit ago in guilt or fear or even anger. Write down some of those things that you say to yourself that make you those emotions that you know don't make you feel good after. And then I'm still trying to find like a better way of describing. I mean, honestly, I almost want to say like, make it its opposite, like make it its like positive opposite or something along those lines. Form it. Again, I'm literally developing this live on this show right now. But form it in a fashion that is healthy for your relationship with yourself. How about that? Actually, that's what we're going to call it. We'll say, write down unhealthy things that you say to yourself and then formulate it into a healthy statement. And that's possible. And then at that point, you are restructuring a negative self-belief that is most likely running unconsciously, which will influence your conscious mind because you're now aware of it and you're paying attention to it. Your defense mechanisms will be more noticeable and you'll have the humility to fix them. Your character will improve and the relationship with your health and yourself will improve. But it starts with figuring out what we're saying to ourselves that is holding us back from getting the courage to grab this mic, push a record button, and stamp your voice in history, really. Think about that. Think about your creative act like that. Like, holy smokes. Like, you getting really good at the guitar is implanting like a really good memory in someone's brain. Like, that's a snapshot in time too. But for all this to happen, man, for this hope, for this dream pursuit, for all of this, we need to have self-worth. And I hope Mindset Monday 42 and developing a potential coping strategy for someone struggling with a lack of self-worth is write down the unhealthy statements that you say to yourself and then write a healthy alternative. And I hope that helps. I may actually give it a shot. That sounds like a productive thought exercise right there. So Mindset Monday 42, I'm going to close it out. Thank you for hanging out. Man, love yourself. Love yourself. And do the work to where you can really say that and believe it. Because I believe 100% that if you love yourself, it's much more satisfying when you love life and people and things and nature and sports and all these really cool things that the world offers. Like, you just love it. You're just so grateful for it. You're grateful for the experience. So yeah, let's just create. But I think it'd be really cool if we all just started creating really healthy relationships with ourselves. And I just think that'd be such a positive thing for the Ultimate Pill family to do. And then at that point, then we step out. Yes, sir. Text coming in. All right, that's it. My voice is getting raspy. We've been recording for like 2 hours. Gonna close it out. Mindset Monday 42. We're gonna call it the, let's call it the dichotomy of assumptions. Pulling from Anthony episode 46. Dichotomy of assumptions. You write down unhealthy things you say to yourself, and then you write down a healthy alternative. And then you develop the dichotomy, and then the point there becomes choose the right one. Mindset Monday 42. Love y'all.